So for some background, I'm the eldest child, one of 3. For my father, I have more siblings from my mother and by her marriage. But for my father, I was the eldest child and the only daughter. I've always hated it. He used to push and push for more and more until I burn out, and he said in his own words, giving up on me in 11th grade or so. At this point, there was constant BS. Constant, it's all in your head. Or I never said that. Or that's not how I intended that at all. And why are you twisting my words to make me look like the villain? Literally on effing repeat, this man says this BS. I used to care, keyword used to. Now, I'm annoyed. Every time he tells me how I've not measured up to his expectations of worth and how I've failed as a mother, I get more and more pissed off. Like I already dislike you, don't need to really seal the deal. Like this is the same man, when I was mourning the 2 babies I've lost, who told me, maybe this is God's way of punishing you for not being a good enough mother. As someone who doesn't even ducking believe in God, to someone who does. And he still had the ducking nerve when confronted to say the same BS lines about that sentence as well. Oh well, I never said or intended it that way. Ducking lied. I'm tired of it. So I went no contact. That didn't end well. I now have a second court date in June for this a-hole's BS. I have to take time off of work that I need to make money for my child because of your bullcrap. Now I'm more annoyed. And no, I can't get any other family to get him to back off. They're just as ducking crazy and support his delusion that they automatically have rights to my child because he's the family's great-grandson. I literally disowned them all because I am 100% the fact they will go behind my back if I say not to do something and will do it anyway. And yes, that includes allowing him contact with my son. But he doesn't know. I have time-date stamped video of him. That'll prove him ignoring a court order after ADUI. I mean, within the last 3 years, too. Like you really wanted to come and take my child thinking I wouldn't have evidence ready. Like I'll prove not only are you unsafe in generally, but I've still got every single text since the history of forever. Guess your abuse not to delete my text messages so you could go through them really paid off now, didn't it? But I mean, if you had actually paid attention, maybe someone else would be soon sitting in that cell instead of you. He blamed me for me being groomed and told me that could never happen, but you messed up. I'm fixing it all. If you see this, remember how I screamed in my face. Why can't you just be normal? Guess who found out she is autistic? So few. I am normal. Your pushing cough abuse cough me was never gonna help. Because you were wrong about what I am. Always have been. And I promise you, I will always be a better parent than you because I know exactly what the F I don't want to be. And all yours messages about regretting my decision. You better hope I don't find out where you're buried because I've been planning for the past year all the ways to piss on your gravestone. And it won't be just a one-time thing. I feel distressed, actually. So many contradictory emotions. I love my parents deeply, and they did so much good to me. Happy memories, mainly from childhood, but not only. Pass by my mind, and then I see what's happening right now, and it tears me up. I love them so much, but I know their behavior is hurting me. I'm 20, one female, and my parents became obsessed with me being single and weird. I've dated when I was 19. Of course, they didn't like it because I was too young. I tried to date after that, but I haven't met anyone suitable for me. Since maybe 7 months, they became obsessed with the idea of me getting a boyfriend and the fact I'm not getting any for now. Dating is a nightmare for me. Once I meet a guy, they start controlling me, interfere too much, and there's a whole drama around that if I decide the guy isn't right for me. I already decided to hide every next guy I'll be meeting. They're effing choices, however. Nowadays, they got obsessed with me being weird. And weird there means I dress up in a weird way. I like accessories such as chains. I've always liked them, and I wear some fancy makeups as it makes me happy and feel more confident about myself. I think it is appropriate for my age. as I'm still young, and even if I'm not anymore, if there isn't any serious problem with that, who cares? It drives me crazy, as the concept has been there since years. They love bothering me from time to time with crap like, why do you want to be unique too much? I don't get it because I don't. I just like that kind of style, and I don't understand why shouldn't I, as an adult, wear those stuff just because my parents dislike it. Of course, it has a lot to do with the boyfriend obsession, that no one will want me and no one wants me. They don't get the idea of me not sharing most of stuff with them. If I don't tell them about something or someone, it or them doesn't exist. Their obsession make me feel terrible. It's that bad they keep comparing me to random people. I hear the I see couples everywhere on the street bullcrap every day, and it drives me crazy. And isn't it a little bit creepy 250-year-olds keep observing random young couples when shopping? They even can tell me I don't act normal because I carry a cup of coffee in my hand along with my phone, or I don't wear skinny jeans. It's an absurd, I know, and that's why I'm kinda terrified and saddened why they're that obsessed with proving me, or rather themselves, that I'm bad and weird about guys. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but I don't think I have major problems with guys because of how I look. The situationships I've been in didn't work because guys had major red flags that bothered me. Of course, sometimes I was refused by guys from Tinder, and I'm all okay with that. It's natural. However, my parents don't believe me and still keep bugging me with their bullcrap, telling me it's all for your good. No, it's for your effing idea about my life you've created 21 years ago, and now you're just frustrated and a live, autonomous human being doesn't follow it because we don't see any boyfriend. I'm so tired because I keep getting these quarrels every day. I'm a sensitive and nostalgic person. As I mentioned, it hurts me as hell as I know my parents are good in general. I'm thankful for many things they gave me and I love them. However, now they're hurting me to that point. I recognize physical issues caused by stress. I won't yield because it's my life and I'm tired of those compromises. About my private life that will mostly affect me in a long run. I have no possibility of moving out, getting a job, or a therapy for now, as I'm a student of 2 majors. I've tried talking calmly, screaming, arguing, crying, begging. Nothing works. I feel terrible when I leave the topic alone without talking it through, but it only makes things worse. I hear that I can't just leave it, and I want them to do things in the way I want. The irony. I feel I need to learn how to ignore them, to stop talking back when they start that topic and not feel guilty about that. Any tips? I used to work for a small, locally owned supermarket chain with a small level of bureaucracy and a high focus of getting stuff sold. After a few years, we were taken over by a national chain, which introduced much bureaucracy where emails and phone calls from the bottom to the top would be lost to the ether and left unanswered. Their focus was highly on image, with staff at head office who seemingly worked to ensure similar-sized products sat next to each other on each shelf so that it looked nice. They also changed the shop manager's incentives. Their bonuses were the operating budget of their store minus wages, expenses, and written off stock. So obviously we were now operating on a shoestring budget, so the manager got as much money as they could. Before the takeover, we had an award-winning butcher department that worked with local farms and catered to customer requests. The new firm immediately closed the counter and filled chillers full of pre-packed sliced meats instead, that we frequently discounted to prevent them going to the bin. One time, we received a dozen cases of a high-end cut of meat, way more than we would usually stock of an affordable packet, and therefore at risk of running past its sell by date and being thrown out. As it was a new product, we didn't have a price label for it. After waiting a weekend for the system to update, I emailed head office for a label and filled the chiller, using a pricing gun left over from the takeover to label up each individual packet. We sold a few by the time I came back in the following week, but was pulled aside by the manglement. The area manager had been in to inspect the shop and was horrified at the ugly labels and demanded they be taken off the shelves until a label was ready. I explained the issue, but they wouldn't have it, so I took them down as instructed and left in the big fridge at the back of the store. They sat there for a month until they expired, after which someone else recorded them for disposal. A few days later, someone at head office noticed the enormous increase in wastage and reported it. Down the chain, it came. Red-faced area manager storms in to shout at stern-faced store manager, who in turn calls over the tannoy for me to drop everything and get to his office. "I'm just waiting for the label," I told them both, as they searched for a scapegoat for the £3,000 write-off. I've since similar at other employers where department heads had bonuses tied to sales but didn't like me pricing up produce, so hardware would sit and gather dust. I'm paid by the hour, no bonus, so I'm not going to argue the case. So here's another short story from my past. An update for the shenanigans going on between my neighbors is heating up, and I want to see how it ends before putting up what I hope is the final to our friendly neighborhood, Karen. Today's story is about a guy from a few years ago. He decided that he would park his car in front of a gate that is only opened once a week at most for trailer loads to get into the rear yard. Since we rarely get loads like that, it's infrequently used. We still don't allow people to park there as permitted by the city. For years before this, we would park one of our service call trucks in front of it, but after it got hit by a car hard, we stopped doing that. Enter Mr. Peacock, as I call him. I call him this because he is the only man I have ever seen pull out a mirror and a comb from his pocket to check his hair. He also spends about 3 minutes in his car after parking to fix his hair and make sure his tie is straight. I wish this was a joke. He also is known to drench himself in cologne before work. Well, Mr. Peacock would park his brand new Lexus RX in front of my gate every day. We would call the police and go through the process to have his car towed away. Basically, the officer comes out, takes pictures, makes us file a report, and gives us a list of companies we can call to have it removed. They will usually tell you who will be the fastest. I ended up having to save that number, and we would call them right after calling the police. The guy would come to us angry, wondering what we did with his car. We would hand him a copy of the police report and the name of the tow company. This happened for 2 weeks. He even filed a suit against my company and made several complaints to the city. So this part may belong in petty revenge, but I am not sure. The last time we saw that car, it was totaled. That street is a hazard as it's so oddly shaped that people think it's a straight road, but it actually dips and curves at a weird angle. The city leveled of the section by my gate, but that made a hill on both sides. GPS makes the road look straight, but it's not. So the guy who thought he was entitled to park in front of my gate got his car wrecked. The guy who hit his car survived, but neither of the cars survived. Please slow down on bad roads, people. So today, I made a rare trip to a Walmart. Standing near the entrance was a Latino family waiting for someone else to join them before going inside. These people were not bothering anyone, just standing off to the side talking to each other in Spanish. As I approach the entrance, I hear an entitled woman start yelling at this family, "You're in America. You need to speak English." Now, I am one of the most Caucasian-looking women you will find. Fair skin, blue eyes, and white hair. Medical condition turned my hair white in elementary school. Now, I don't know a lot of Spanish. Just a few phrases and greetings and how to ask where the bathroom is, important when traveling. So I walk up the family and say, "Hola amigos, buenos dias." And I kind of tilt my head in the direction of the entitled woman. They seemed to understand, greeted me in Spanish, and what I assume was the mother and father both shook my hand. I then turned to the entitled woman and said, "No, bueno." She gave me a dirty look, stuck out her bottom lip, and stomped off towards the parking lot. The family and I laughed as we watched her walk off. Not overly exciting, but I enjoyed it.